The goal of the holidays should be really all about enjoyment and recharging in a way that works for you. And what I mean by that is recharging can look completely different from person to person. So the goal from today is to take away some tools, maybe thoughts or tactics that you can implement over the holidays, whether it be Christmas or even a holiday break that you're going to be taking at some point throughout the year. Now, with Christmas in general, though, this tends to be a relatively hectic time filled with lots of yummy food, drinks, and non-stop events for some of us. So, on today's call, we're going to dive into some tools that you can hopefully take away to have an awesome holiday and rock into 2026 feeling your best. So, Gilly, the first one we have up here is really, checking in with yourself before the holidays to kind of see what you need. What are your thoughts on how people can approach the holidays?
Good morning, mate. Good morning, Bucky and team. Good to see you all. Yeah, good question, Bucky. Like it's one of those things where it's no different to training. Like, we all have a busy year. Everyone's year of busyness is different. Uh, but this idea of fatigue and this concept of recovery is something that I think applies to lots of different scenarios. So for example, some of us may be tired from a big year of work. Some of us may be tired from training 2 hours a day because Bucky's pushing you too hard. Some of us could just have so much stuff going on socially that we just get to a point where we've got different sorts of fatigue. So you've got to check in with yourself to figure out what your holiday needs to give you back, or how to get the most out of your holiday. So for example, are you tired? Are you fatigued? Are you feeling a bit flat? Or are you not? If you're not, great, fantastic. But obviously, this time of year, there's a lot going on as well. And so you just need to make some good decisions. I know for me, like I love being social and being with people, but I also love time by myself to recover from people, if that makes sense. You constantly get asked to do things or go to Christmas parties or there'll be stuff on all the time. So sometimes it's okay to say no if that's not what you need to do. And I think it's important to also think about sleep and where that plays its part. You might think you're getting enough, but always try and get more. Naps if you've got a day off at home, gee, have a nap. How good? And I think it's important to balance your exercise, your recovery from work, recovery from socializing, all those things that add fatigue and tiredness. Figure out ways to combat it. Sometimes it's laying on the couch watching Christmas movies, getting off the grid, turning phones off so you don't have to respond to someone inviting you to something, going for walks instead of hard runs. Just all those little things. It's okay to give yourself a rest and a breather. Most of us don't get them very often, and then when we get them, we maybe don't use them as well as we could. So, Jason just asked me about doing an Ironman this year, and I'm sort of like, well, I actually need a holiday. I need to stop. So I won't be exercising 3 hours a day this year, which is going to be a shock to the system. Um, but surprisingly, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having more time on my hands to do nothing. So check in with yourself. It's okay to say no. Get plenty of sleep and do things that are going to recover you from the fatigue that's built up over the busy year.
Hey, just before we kick into the next topic, something Gilly said that I think really is super important to take away is that many of us are going to have a break, but may feel like guilty about resting or not very good at slowing down, and therefore coming out of the break not feeling your best or reaping the full benefits of what a full rest period can give you. So if you notice, like if you're the type of person where say you do have a bit of training over the holidays and you struggle to relax if you know that it's in your day, get it done early. Get the stuff done early that you need to do, and then make sure that you really do check out and unwind, like Gilly said, in a way that is suitable to you and do that guilt-free. Every single person deserves rest. I'm sure you've worked your butt off over the course of the year. And just like in a training program, you can't train hard 7 days a week and expect amazing long-term results. You'll actually get the opposite. So the way that I want you to look at the holidays is the exact same. Look at this as like a scheduled rest break in your year for you to slow down, take a step back, and have this awesome rebound effect into 2026 where you're going to start the year feeling amazing. So this kicks us into the next topic. If you're tired or if you're feeling great, being active is going to look a little bit different for all individuals. So if you're tired, this is going to be a time to really deload and rein it in. But if you have rugby preseason, say if you're in the southern hemisphere and you have rugby preseason or even northern hemisphere coming up in January, you probably need to be staying on track with your training and then just modifying your maybe total training time based on your holiday schedule or the time that you have available or equipment you have available if you're traveling. So we're going to kick into just a few sort of simple things you can do or questions you can ask yourself. The first one being if you need a deload, okay? If you're super knackered, you've been training hard all year, simple deload methods, like Gilly said, go for a walk instead of a run. Uh, take your training program and cut the percentage or the intensity in half. So you could train at 50 to 60% and maybe do 1 or 2 sets per exercise. So now your gym sessions, if you still love to go, you can go, but they may only take you, 20 or 30 minutes to get through, and you'll leave feeling really good. If you have a couple extra days off per week, it's also not the end of the world. Everybody in the off season who's been working hard is going to take, a week, 2 weeks off. And if that's what a deload week looks like to you or an annual deload looks like to you, take it and run with it guilt free. You're not going to come out of it worse for wear. Another simple one for anyone is to just simply get your steps in. Like be generally active, but again, don't place stress on yourself to complete this. So, you don't have to hit 10,000 steps per day, 7 days per week. But if you're wanting to feel good and be generally active, it's probably a good idea just to go for a walk every day. You don't have to take your smartwatch with you, but if you get outside and you go enjoy a bit of nature time, you're probably going to feel a lot better every day and sleep a lot better every day, which is going to make the rest period even better. What I said earlier, this one I'll just briefly touch on, which is train early. So whether you're a morning person or not, if you get your training done early in the day, the rest of your day is now freed up. So you don't have to think about it. And this is going to largely apply to athletes. If your friends are all home for the holidays, you're with your family, just get it done and then enjoy the rest of your day. And then for all of us, shortening up sessions if time is tight, instead of skipping, say, hey, you know what, I don't have an hour to go. You can simply just shorten up a session. So if you usually have 5 exercises, maybe you do your main lift and then one accessory exercise. So give yourself 20 or 30 minutes. You could do simple strategy, say if you're doing an upper body session, such as sets to failure. So pick one push, one pull, one arms, one shoulders, and then you might do 3 sets to fail. So shortening up those sessions can still keep you on track. And now we're going to jump into simple workouts that you can utilize or build for yourself. And we'll give you some tools to take away. So a few of you here are already one-on-one clients with us, so you'll have these built into your program. But for anyone else on the call or watching the recording, this bit should help you take away some serious value. So Gilly, over holidays, we obviously like to use, body weight circuits, chippers, jogs, fartlek runs, just playing sports, or short hit sessions. Do you think we could give some examples of what people could do workout wise over the holidays with little time and minimal equipment?
Yeah, I think it's just about being creative, isn't it? Like I think getting something done first thing in the day when everyone's still waking up or sleeping or whatever is great. But Um, I don't think you can beat um, a walk jog with body weight exercises and go for a rolling clock of 20 or 30 minutes. So what that might look like is 10 air squats, 10 press ups, 5 burpees, a bear crawl, and then walk or run, for a couple of minutes and then repeat. And so what happens is you're obviously challenging the body with blood flow. You get a bit of body weight work in, you get a bit of aerobic work in, and over 20 or 30 minutes, you're probably going to be doing, 100 odd press ups and a couple of hundred squats, etc., etc. So no equipment required. If you don't want to run, you just come up with some bodyweight exercises um, that you're good at that can challenge you, and you just do it Tabata style. So, 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off, and again, a running clock of 20 or 30 minutes. I think the key thing in holiday season, for me at least, is short and sharp. Just get something done, and all it's really helping you with is stopping you going backwards. Um, it might not make you go forwards, but it's going to stop you going backwards. So good change up too, good variation for the brain. It's not monotonous, and I mean the thing is, often people will be away and they might not have their gym available, but it's about getting outside as well. Unless you're up north where it's a bit wet and cold, down this end of the woods. The sun's out, the birds are up at 5 a.m. and you've got a couple of hours up your sleep before most people get out of bed. So yeah, short, sharp, be a little bit creative, a bit of freestyle is really good. And just don't do anything silly that you haven't done much before of, you know, um, for example, climbing up a rope. If you haven't rope climbed a lot and you find one in the bush, maybe climb it once, but don't keep doing it. You'll end up with a hemi, not a hemi, a bicep or something like that. So just yeah, be creative, freestyle, but get something done. I'll tag this one, Bucky. Food's one of my favorite things in the world. So especially this time of year, I think the biggest challenge, obviously, most of us might face is our intake, um, which is also out of balance with our output. Often, we just talked about short, sharp sessions, and maybe we're not training as much as we were, or we're maybe not walking as much as we were. Maybe facilities challenge us, or family, or kids, or whatever. Um, the key thing I think is what food out of everything that's around there do you want most of, and how do you make it okay? And I think that there's a couple of things you don't want to feel guilty about having a feast. I think that's one of the pleasures of the holiday season is being able to feast, and so you don't want to feel guilty about that, but just make good decisions around it. So some strategies around that. It's the same strategies that you should be engaging all the time anyway. Which is put plenty of color on your plate. Um, drink lots of low or no calorie drinks before you fill up on beers or wine. So if you're really, really thirsty, maybe have a low calorie drink because later on you're going to be on the beers. I think it's a good thing. Also, balance the. I know I'm guilty of this, so I'm sort of trying to teach something that I'm not very good at, which is put too much protein on my plate at Christmas time because there's ham, there's turkey, there's chicken, there's beef, there's everything. So to try and balance lots of colour still and try and be conscious of the protein intake. Um, the thing that I've seen in my time working with athletes is a whole lot of damage can be done in 2 weeks. And what I mean by that is you can put on a lot of weight in 2 weeks if exercise volume and intensity is lower, the food availability is higher. It's no wonder people put on weight. And it only takes 2 weeks to put on, but man, it might take you 2 or 3 months to get rid of. And so you just got to ask the question, do I really want that and need that? Or am I happy just being a bit smarter here? I think the other thing you can strategize around the day, like sometimes, and again, there'll be people that would disagree with this, but if I know that I'm having a massive dinner because everyone's coming to my house for a big feast, then I'll tend to eat a lot less for breakfast and lunch, you know, and I'll make sure I do some exercise. So I sort of earn the feast. Okay. I find that way more successful strategy personally than eating normal, having a feast, and then trying to get up and train lots the next day to get rid of it, to burn what I've eaten. So I sort of earn it by making better decisions during the day leading up to it. So I think that's probably something for you to think about. Um, the other thing that most of us will be guilty of is all of a sudden there's a few more chocolates out on the table. Maybe there's a few more desserts happening than normal times of the year. Every household will be different, but I'm a sucker for lint balls. If lint balls are on the table and I'm walking past every time I walk past someone wrapping a lint ball, holy hecker, very dangerous. So I have to try and hide stuff like that from myself sometimes. So I think it's really important to have a strategy so you don't feel guilty. Choose where you want to have your feasting, and where you want to eat your calories or drink your calories. I think that's the key thing is just enjoy, love this time of year, and just be conscious of it. Just make good decisions and just balance out when you're going to have what, so that come the end of the holidays, you're not 10 kilos heavier and 3 months away from your goal now.
Yeah, that's some pretty sage advice, guys, and I think that's something to remember maybe also for athletes or clients watching this that may be in a fat loss phase at the moment where you kind of probably want to adopt the same mindset you do with your training where if you're going easy over the holidays you're likely maintaining and working on not going backwards and you probably want to look at your nutritional goals the same instead of focusing on fat loss over the holidays shift gears, at least for a couple of weeks, to maintaining your body weight and enjoying yourself and not being so concerned over, having a couple massive meals of all your favorite foods. I've with some people that I've worked with in the past, they might ask me like, oh, like I had this crazy Christmas dinner and I weighed myself the next day and I put on like 2.5 pounds. What do I do? Well, don't go on the scale. Don't count your calories and enjoy yourself. And then just remember that like if you look at the grand scheme of one entire year, a couple of days don't make or break your progress. It's the long term that really matters. So like what Gilly said about that 2 week window, if if you do that for 2 weeks, that's a different story where oh there's no rules, it's a free for all. That's pretty tough to come back from. You can do it, but if you just enjoy yourself and can allow yourself to have things in moderation and shift your mindset to maintaining, you're probably going to have a lot more fun over the holidays. Brian had a really good question. What are a few good low calorie drinks I always struggle when out at dinners? So, Brian, number one, first and foremost, boring old H2O. But what I do, because I admittedly struggle to drink enough water, I do one with a sugar-free Gatorade, so 0 calorie um, electrolyte. I have a liter of that. Then I have a veggie greens powder, but it's a citrus pineapple flavor. So I have a liter of that. And then I'll drink a liter of regular water. So that's all 0 calories. Then obviously you're probably not going to want to bring veggie greens to dinner. Um,
Yeah, I was
diet
going to say,
soda.
Bucky. I was going to say, Bucky, it's not real good advice for dinner. Just take a little tub of vital greens to dinner and pull it out of the table and scoop it in, and
To think I'm a psycho.
each to their own. Each to their own, Bucky.
Diet Coke, man. I always ask what sorts of diet sodas they have on the menu. Sparkling waters as well. Sparkling water with a bit of lemon is always nice. And those are kind of my go-tos, especially if you're not drinking alcohol. You're not, yeah, there's low calorie options with alcohol, but the issue that most people are going to face there is the quantity that they're going to drink. So if it's 100 calories and you have 10, it's still 1,000 calories. And then there's the extra food that you're probably going to have on top. So that would be my advice is find some diet pop you really like or sparkling water. And for drinkers out there, because this can really add up. If you say you love a rum and coke, try Diet Coke. Cut out the calories from your drink. It, in my opinion, tastes the exact same. and then you're going to get in a lot less calories with your yummy drinks. Alrighty, last topic, team. So, before you go into 2026 or before you really set goals for the coming year, I would encourage you first to review the year you just had. Do it after you've had a bit of a rest, when you're in a really good, mind space, energized. So probably not now if you're feeling exhausted. And some things to look at or questions to ask yourself would be, how many goals did you hit last year that you set at the beginning of the year? So look at your list. How many did I hit? Where did I fall short? What happened there? You want to take some time to assess your progress first. And if you don't have goals for the year, then I highly recommend taking a bit of time this holiday season to set yourself some targets. It's really hard to know how to spend your time, what you're striving for if you don't know the direction that you want to go. And goals can give you a pretty simple direction to aim for. You can also ask yourself, what are you most proud of achieving this year? So maybe make like a top 10 list. This could be training related, lifestyle related, related to rugby, your career, etc. Family life. What limited your progress the most? So when we're looking at, oh, I fell short on this goal. Maybe I didn't make this team. Okay, well, why is that? Let's break that down, spend a bit of time. Oh, you know what? It turns out I was probably partying a little bit too much. I was missing my Saturday sessions. My sleep was off. So then there's going to be three areas you can work on the following year to help you move closer to that goal. What areas of your life or game, if you're looking at this as an athlete, did you develop the most? So really good to look at where you're developing, to see if the things that you're doing are actually working or not. Where do you need to focus in 2026 and why? So if we think about this in context of being a rugby player, when you went through the season, was your fitness lacking? Did you not feel as strong in contact, etc.? Assess your game, and then you can look at where those gaps are that you can spend time developing. Same thing with your health. If you, let's say, struggle with just general activity levels. Maybe you have a sedentary job and you didn't do a very good job walking every day. That's a simple one. Okay, I don't walk very much, so moving into the year, that's a gap for me. I need to work on being more generally active throughout the day. The last thing that I would do for the year is what's called a start, stop, continue list. So what that means is you want to look at habits or actions that you need to start that are going to move you forward, habits or actions that you need to stop that are getting in your way or derailing you, and then things that you need to continue doing that are working very well for you. And you can use that in all areas. I kind of like to break up goal setting into different areas. So this could be like rugby, life, personal life, career, etc. And a start, stop, continue list is a great way to kind of break things down for yourself. So definitely, when you're setting goals, all of you on the call should have a copy of the Rugby Ready Goal Setting Manual. And anyone watching the recording, you're going to get a free copy sent to your email. I would take a good hour to an hour and a half to go through that exercise. It walks you through this whole process step by step. And it can give you such a great direction going into not only the next year, but say even five years or 10 years into the future, if you want to think that far ahead. So take some time over the holidays to get stuck into that goal setting. And before we move into the last little bit and the outro, does anyone have questions or anything you want to share around goal setting or reviewing your year? And yourself included, Gilly, of course.
Okay. I was- Jordan, it's a really good question. I I think the key thing is being aware that goals change. The line changes that you're trying to achieve or get to. Um, I think the long-term goal, in my mind anyway, needs to be very, very ambitious. You want it to be challenging so that it's always there and you're always trying to get there. And your shorter term goals are about little steps. And sometimes those little steps are easy to make, and sometimes they're difficult. And so I think it's weekly, monthly reviews of how you're tracking is really important. Um, and even within a day, you can track progress. So I know that been working with Brian to try and help understand and map progress. So I think it's important to within your training, within your goals, things need to be a little bit measurable. So that I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to be this strong in 12 months. Okay, a month in, have I got a little bit stronger? And if I have, good, I'm on track. And if I haven't, why not? Is it because I missed 3 sessions this month? Or is it because the program hasn't got enough volume for me? Is it because I've been eating poorly or recovering poorly? And so I think you need to constantly review your progress. And 3 or 4 weekly is fine. But I know that again personally, most of your sessions you should be able to see things changing if you're consistent with your training. Things change pretty fast, and I think that becomes self-motivating as you're improving and making progress. It makes you want more. So I think it's important to write things down or look at numbers to track progress, review progress, and then reset goals. You reset goals based on progress you're making, knowing that the big ambitious one is out there, and you're trying hard to get there. But I think the worst thing people do is they don't actually check in with their goals of how they're progressing, and therefore you're almost a little bit rudderless. You're just doing, and you're not actually checking that you're actually doing well. A good example, man, is if you do a lower body strength session once a week, you could do that for 3 months and not get much stronger. And then it's like, oh, why aren't I getting stronger? Oh, okay, I need to do 2 sessions a week. And then all of a sudden you're getting traction, you're getting change. You could be 2 months ahead of the curve if you had it checked in a month, 2 months ago. So I think just constantly checking in with how you're going, remapping your goals, but having that big lofty one that's still out of reach.
And something else I would also add on to what Gilly said is to as you're going through the process, make sure that you're sharing as much of the goal setting process as you can with your coach, because they can also then map and see the trends and the direction that you're going. And then it's a really collaborative effort as well. Like the question you just asked, which was so great. Hey coach, it's 90 days. I've literally just hit the target, and actually has made me ahead of schedule. Well, now what do I do? And then because I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. Someone will set a 5-year goal or a 1-year goal, and then they post it somewhere they can see it. They do exactly what Gilly said, which is like daily, weekly, monthly progress checks. And then they might actually achieve that within 9 months. Okay. And then that's the fun part of then deciding, like, well, wow, this is really powerful. Do I set a bigger goal? Do I kind of say, hey, for the rest of the year, like maybe instead of focusing on that one area, I'm going to shift focus for a little bit to over here? You can kind of be really adaptable with how you do it. And I would say it's just keeping in mind like what your North Star is. So that big ambitious goal. If you're moving really fast in that direction and things are taking over much quicker than the timelines you've written down, then I think you just keep going. And one of the things in the manual that to me is super important is to not move the goalpost. So, and what I mean by that is on that ambitious goal. So if you set a goal in 5 years' time, I want to be playing with this professional team at this specific tournament or whatever it is, okay? And you're getting closer and closer and closer, you should not change that big audacious goal to make it out of reach again. You want to have something that you can eventually attain. Does that make sense? Well, team, thank you all so much for joining us today. We wish you and your family all the health and happiness through the holidays, and we'll see you in 2026. Take care, guys.
Yeah, go well. Take care, team.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.